We entered this season with many claiming that the Lakers had no depth or no quote-unquote help to give Luka Doncic or LeBron James. Whether it was after their first game where they got beat by Golden State, Luka having a good game but nobody else really having one, or even after that point, even after Austin Reeves got going, having a 50-point game, a 40-point game, still currently being top 10 in points per game, many still trying to push the narrative that they had no depth or help to give them. And well, at this point, roughly 1 month after the NBA season began, I think that narrative's pretty much dead. Again, whether it's been Austin Reeves, whether it's been a guy like Jake LaRavia having multiple 20-point games, whether it's been DeAndre Ayton, currently averaging roughly 16 and 9, having multiple 20 and 10 games for them and all around playing very good for their team, or even now with guys off the bench like Maxi Kleber, for example, having a great game last night that doesn't really show up on the stat sheet, but he made an impact that if you actually watch the game, you can definitely validate via the eye test. In fact, I'm not sure they win this game without Maxi Kleber, following them coming up halftime looking absolutely lifeless, playing little to no defense at all, their offense falling flat, and they simply needed a spark. They were able to get that from Maxi Kleber. After entering the game for their team at the 6-minute and 59-second mark, subbing in for Jackson Hayes, who was filling in for the hurt DeAndre Ayton, Maxi Kleber gave their team a big spark. No, he actually didn't score during the third quarter, actually only scored 2 points in general in this game, but if you actually watch the game, and really particularly that third quarter, you know that Kleber gave their team a big spark. Despite the team being a -4 during the third quarter, Kleber came in and was a +7 during the third quarter, having 2 rebounds, 1 big block, all around giving their team life on defense, giving their team more space offensively, and simply doing more than Hayes was giving their team, and really the entirety of their starting lineup was giving their team too, especially on defense. So with that in mind here, we're going to talk about what Maxi Kleber brought to this game, if he can be an impact member for their team going forward, if he should be more of a full-time or at least more of a more common member of the rotation going forward, and simply about their depth of their team and how impressive it's been too. So without further ado, going a bit more in depth on Maxi Kleber and what he actually showed on the court last night. I referred to the rebounding and blocks that he had, but actually showing it and going into it a little bit, I love the defense that he played, and really with that block that he had. It's not very common that I think one player alone actually gave a team a big spark, but I think Kleber did, and actually this block did too. In fact, I think it negated what Keyonte George was doing a little bit. He was going off during the third quarter, ended with 13 points during the third quarter last night, many of which came prior to getting blocked here by Maxi Kleber. And I think Kleber doing this actually kind of shut him down a little bit and gained the favor and momentum back in the Lakers' favor. And here's the play that I'm referring to. Keyonte George trying to isolate and get around both Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart in the help defense here. Spins around Jake LaRavia, looking like he has the pathway to the rim, but Kleber actually times it perfectly, coming over for the help defense at the rim. Keyonte George tries to put it up with the right hand and get around Kleber, but Kleber gets up there and looks a whole lot more athletic than probably many thought he was at this point, timing it perfectly, blocking the shot emphatically, the Lakers actually most importantly getting the ball, and turning that block into 2 points in transition. So very impressive here from Maxi Kleber, not only the defense, the timing, his ability to actually protect the rim as more of a 4-5 and a versatile option for their team at the 5 for them, but the fact that he really gained the momentum and shifted it in their favor. I'll be honest here, I really didn't think that Kleber had much of this left in the tank. Prior to the Milwaukee Bucks game where he also played pretty good for them, that being a few games back on the road trip, in which he played 25 minutes and I think was a +22 in 25 minutes. Now again during this game, especially what he showed on defense, his athletic ability at the rim, his timing and ability to move his feet on defense too. I think we actually might have the old Maxi Kleber back, the guy that played with Luka Doncic for 8 years back in Dallas, a guy that could play the 4 or 5 depending on the matchup, a guy that did a lot of things that don't really show up in the stat sheet, but stuff that definitely helps his team out and stuff that his teammates definitely will give him credit for. Following the game last night, all 3 of JJ Redick, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves were very quick to compliment him and how crucial he was for them in winning this game.
Couldn't go in the second half, and so Maxi coming in that second half, really changed the game for us with his physicality. Made some plays at the rim, had the big bucket late, but he was great. Gabe was great as well, and those two guys playing that extended run, that's really where our defense was solidified. They scored 17 points in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, and then up until the last flurry, I think they had 22 points for the rest of that half. They was right stuck at sort of 94 there. So,
what did you think of Maxi's minutes, especially in the second half?
I've given him many compliments in games before, and he always tells me that he didn't play good. So I told him today, I was like, I know you think I'm messing with you every time I talk to you, but he was one of the best players on the floor for us tonight. Just energy, effort, the way he plays, the plays he made. It's not easy to do. Sitting the whole first half and then coming out there and doing what he did. So big. You tip your hat to guys like that. And you want to see them succeed.
Like I said, it might not seem like a guy that had 2 points, 3 rebounds, 1 block, and 4 personal fouls in the game really made that much of a difference. But if you watch the game and literally what both Luka, Austin, and the head coach JJ Redick talked about, if you know what I'm talking about and if you know what they're talking about, you know what kind of impact Kleber had on this game and what he can actually do for their team too. So again, with that in mind, can he be a more common member of the rotation? Should he be for that fact? In my opinion, he probably should. It might not be every game that he can make this kind of impact. There might be some games where his ability to do this and make the impact on defense, or simply all around in general, might not be as inflated. But I think there are times, and especially with Kleber looking this good, looking this healthy, and kind of looking like he did back in Dallas, I think there are more matchups than Kleber definitely can. In fact, I think there are more that he can than cannot at this point. With how healthy he looks and with how impactful and versatile he can be on both ends of the court, I think that he definitely can be a more common member of the rotation than he has been up until this point. I mean, if you're talking about defense, he does give you a little bit more than Jackson Hayes in my opinion. Hayes is a pretty decent rim protector that's been pretty solid for them quietly, but with Kleber he's a bit more switchable. Also, when healthy like he's showing right now, is a decent rim protector and probably fairly comparable to Jackson Hayes. In general, I think is more disciplined on defense, is a very good communicator, and that's very underrated with him. Something else that his teammates have talked about, both current and former teammates, how vocal Kleber is on the court, how good at communication he is, and even kind of a vocal leader at times too. Something they only really have with Marcus Smart apart from him, I think. Obviously LeBron too, but mainly talking about role players here. I think that's an underrated part of having Kleber in their rotation, and having a more versatile option than they probably have right now with their backup big. No, I'm not saying to remove Hayes from the rotation. I think that he offers a lot of two-man ability with Luka Doncic and is their best lob threat by far. Also a very good rim running big. But I'd maybe like to see Kleber play at the 5 in some matchups, play at 4 in other matchups, and even with Hayes and Ayton on the court. I talked about this back during the Milwaukee Bucks game, where they played without LeBron and a few other players in the rotation. I think without Hachimura in that game too. Kleber played both with DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes on the court, and was effective no matter what, whether he was at the 4 or 5. Again, that's more of a matchup dependent thing, but whether you put Kleber at the 4 or 5 depending on the matchup, I think he will find a way to make an impact in more matchups than not. Again, I really can't say I saw it coming with him. In the past few years now, Kleber's definitely been hurt a lot. Even when on the court, has not been that impactful, but he's found a way to get back to his former self and former impact level in many ways in limited time, I guess, but in the time they have him healthy and in the time that he's able to make this impact, I think they should definitely try and take advantage of it going forward. Yes, we're definitely talking about a small sample with him, but in the 64 total minutes that Kleber's been on the court, they have been 19.3 points per 100 possessions better with him on the court rather than with him off the court. So between that, what he showed last night, in their game last week against Milwaukee, simply the way he's looked and actually how healthy and actually kind of athletic he's looked too, I think they should definitely try to take advantage of Kleber while they have him on the court and healthy. But those are only my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you feel about Maxi Kleber, the impact he made last night, and simply how good he looks right now? How do you feel about the Lakers' depth and how much better it's been than many thought it would be? And simply about their outlook with both Kleber and the bench unit going forward. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.